You know, as humans, we're living longer, but with that longevity, we have a greater chance of dying from chronic illnesses.
You know, back in 1900, the average
When
life...
you were born.
I was born in 1902. In 1900, the average life expectancy was about 50 years old. And back then, people died more than likely from a fast cause, an accident, an injury, or an infectious disease that was no cure for yet.
All of us on this call today will more than likely die in our 70s or 80s.
Yeah, I'm going to live to 100. No, but...
Okay, give or take.
You go when you want. I'm staying till 100.
And more than likely it'll be from slow causes.
Right. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But here's an interesting thing that we read in the New York Times recently, that 50% of babies born today will live to be 100.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a dramatic difference. And think of all the changes it's going to have on our society. But we're not getting into that today. But people are living longer. You know, we both started reading this fantastic book, and we'll put a link in the notes by Dr. Peter Attia, called OUTLIVE, The Science and Art of Longevity. It is an incredible read, and we're having so much fun looking into it.
It really is. It's ominous to pick up because it's a big one. But in this book, he describes the slow causes, which he calls the 4 horsemen: heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative disease like dementia,
Right.
Alzheimer's, and then the 4th one is type 2 diabetes, and that's really related to metabolic dysfunction. And those are the 4 horsemen of the slow death.
Right. And to live longer and live better, we need to better understand and confront these slow causes of death. I have blood pressure issues.
Right.
I've got I go in and out of being too much sugar, and so it's I'm in there
pre-diabetic, not pre-diabetic.
I'm in there playing around with those, so it's really important. But we really love this book, don't we?
Yeah, in this book he details very clearly that longevity has 2 components: how long you live, or your chronological lifespan, right?
For me, that's 100.
That's the first.
For
That's
you,
your goal. That's your goal.
That's my goal.
And that's the first component of longevity.
But the second component that he talks about, which is equally important, if not more important, is your quality of life during those years. And together, this is called your health span.
And he details that the current medicine today is medicine 2.0. It's a vast improvement over medicine 1.0, which was really back in the 1900s. 2.0 is what we're dealing with today, and it has a lot of success. We've eradicated certain diseases like polio and smallpox. We've contained HIV and AIDS like in the 90s, and we've made major strides with hepatitis C, right? So medicine 2.0 is done pretty well.
And a lot of it, frankly, is coming from, the success is coming from new drugs, albeit expensive ones, but that's one factor. The other thing, the vaccines against COVID is the most current example of medicine 2.0. And I think that cure was figured out in 6 months just by doing it globally.
And remember, not a cure, but a vaccine.
Vaccine, not a cure, yeah.
Medicine 3.0
which is the main part of his book.
Right, is a new way of thinking about chronic disease. It's not to patch people back up and get them out the door or remove their tumors and hope for the best, right?
No, it's about preventing the tumors from appearing and spreading in the first place, which is really important. And it's such a different mindset for us as we're starting to think about our health span.
Well, it's not even just a different mindset for all of us. It's a different mindset for all of medicine,
And the doctors, we gave a copy to our doctor. She loved it.
I mean, in his view, medicine 3.0, it places far greater emphasis on prevention than treatment.
Right. What it starts out with, and we just went through this with a new doctor we picked, it starts off with us, the patient, as a unique individual. I'm not just another 66-year-old male. I'm Mark Rollins, and I've got my own history. I've got my own genetics, and I'm not.
You got your own environmental factors.
Yeah, I don't want results or a doctor telling me what I should do based upon the clinical trials of all other 66-year-old men. It's just not what I want. So that's important.
Really, so you start with the individual, and then an honest assessment, right? And also each individual honestly determining what level of risk assessment are they going to take, right?
Yeah,
How much risk are you going to accept in your life?
Including the risk of not doing anything.
Right. And that's a huge risk of not doing anything during this time or phase of life.
So we have this information. How do we put medicine 3.0 into layman's terms or practical use that we all can use?
I think
what is it all about at the core?
Right. I think if you can think about medicine 3.0 in broad domains, you have the power to influence and impact these domains today, like literally today. And these domains are exercise, nutrition, sleep, emotional health, and then drugs, hormones, and supplements that you can research or get some advice on through a naturopath, right? So those are the 5 domains that you can influence and impact today for yourself.
And this is what he goes into deep in the book. He doesn't spend time on drugs, hormones, and supplements because he feels it deserves its own book. But exercise, nutrition, sleep, and emotional health. And why don't we go through
the 4 of those?
Yeah, so exercise. Okay. Exercise is going to delay death, without a doubt. He says it's better than any other intervention that you can have is to do exercise. It prevents cognitive and physical decline.
And just think about how you feel when you're done exercising.
We are crazy if we don't find a way to bring exercise into our lives. We just have to do it.
Right. I agree. I agree. The second big one is nutrition, right? And we've learned this the hard way. But what you eat really matters. Not only what you eat, but how much of it and how often also matters.
Right.
And we have some pictures over the years from holidays and stuff where, our plates are about this big.
Thanksgiving.
And they're about this full.
Yeah.
Right? That's not how we eat today. That's not the quantity or the quality of food that we eat today. Because we learned the hard way that what you eat really matters.
We eat more often. We eat smaller amounts, smaller plates.
And a lot more vegetables.
A lot more vegetables, and our dinner is much earlier. We're done with dinner at 6:30 because we just can't eat at 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
We didn't used to start dinner until 7:30 or 8, so that's a big
So
change.
the other big thing he talks about is sleep. And during sleep is when your body and brain recover, they repair themselves, and that leaves you refreshed and ready for the next day. You've got to find a way to have good quality sleep.
I will tell you, if you Google sleep these days, I feel like there's an article every day about sleep.
Sure. Well,
I feel like it's becoming like a really big, hot topic.
Right.
Not only how long are you in bed, but how well
Quality,
are you sleeping.
the quality of
your
sleep.
Quality. All right, so the next one is emotional health. A lot of people are living longer, and it's not just about living longer, but it is about living happier. And the things you can do to improve your happiness, be less miserable, and suffer less emotionally. Am I miserable?
No, I have a twitch.
I'm probably the least miserable person.
You are. You're the happiest person that I know, and I'm so grateful I'm married to you.
I don't know if I'm the happiest person.
Right now you are.
Am I?
Because we're doing what we love to do. Yep.
Yep.
So it's true. The last one, drugs, hormones, and supplements. Again, he doesn't go into it to his book, but that is really important. We both take a lot of supplements that was prescribed to us from our naturopath doctor. So that's something to think about too.
So how do we change our healthcare and our medicine 3.0 in an organized way? And I think this is really important. So let's first discuss some actions that you have the power to take, specifically proactive actions.
Right. So this is the path you can take on. So proactive medical care. Instead of relying upon symptoms and treating diseases after they occur, proactive medical care aims to prevent or mitigate health issues through various means. And one is preventive measures, right?
Absolutely. And you can be proactive in your own medical advocacy just by listening to your body, right?
Yeah. But the preventive measures that you can take as a way of being proactive, we talked about this, is exercise, balanced nutrition, avoiding tobacco, and excessive alcohol consumption. Those are preventive measures to help stop or slow down the approach of these 4 horsemen that he calls.
So that really pulls together being proactive.
Right.
Next, there are health screenings and assessments that you can jump onto. Regular screenings and health assessments that are performed to identify your individual risk factors, monitor your overall health, and detect any early warning signs of disease or any conditions that may be on the horizon for you.
And basically, it's your annual physical, it's seeing your dentist, your doctor, your specialist, whatever it might be, getting these screenings and assessments is important because you want to make sure that your blood pressure is getting checked, you're getting cholesterol screenings, you're getting cancer screenings, and there's this genetic test. We did 2 tests.
We did the Invitae, which is a genetic test that we both took that kind of looks through all of our genetics
and we got an all clear sign. Right?
That was good. And then we also did the Grail. I have cancer in my family. You have a little bit of cancer, not as much in your family. And the Grail is a moment in time, but it really is a test to see if you have any sort of cancer in your body at this moment in time.
Of 52 types of potential cancer, something like that.
That was really interesting.
We should put that link below too. It's expensive, but gives us peace of mind. And how often we do it, I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, we've talked about preventive care, we've talked about assessments, then there's health monitoring. You've got to monitor your health going forward. So if there's a red flag, you catch it. If you're diabetic, you want to check your blood glucose levels. If you are, like me and I've got some heart issues, I check my blood pressure.
Right.
Not my blood pressure. Yeah, my blood pressure every day, and I don't wear anything for that. But you and I do have our Oura ring that tracks a lot of that, sleep, heart rhythm, things like that.
Yeah, I do the Apple Watch and the Oura Ring. A lot of people have the Whoop, but there are a lot of gadgets out there that can help you with early identification of any deviation from a normal health parameter that you might have.
You're looking for red flags.
Right.
So that you get ahead of it.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
So let's talk about our doctor in Florida, our new doctor. We went the route of
concierge
service. Yeah. So we have a doctor, we pay her an annual fee, and now we have access to her by text and everything all the time. And that has really helped a lot.
And she does a deep, specific health profile on both of us, including our medical history, any genetic dispositions, had a hard time with that one.
Can you
that
spell
we
it?
might have, any lifestyle factors, and then certainly any environmental influences that we've been exposed to. And then she spends enough time with us to understand our unique needs. Like, what are we looking to get out of our health, our proactive health plan?
And finally, if you have one of these chronic diseases, there are proactive care that includes the monitoring we talked about, medication management, but really there's a lot of lifestyle modifications and education that you can take and undergo to prevent any complications from coming up and really improve your overall well-being, making sure that you feel great.
Living longer and healthier should be a goal for all of us. Making some daily changes will definitely help us all with our lifespan.
And moving from this reactive healthcare system that we're all used to, medicine 2.0, to medicine 3.0 when we're really proactive, it's going to take some lifestyle changes and some effort, but it really, really is important to do.
And there's a lot of information here, but hopefully very empowering. Think of how each of these domains play in your world. How's your health, your wellness, your longevity, and your lifespan, and what's your plan?
This was good. This was a good chat. And if you like this video, you're really going to love this one. We go into great detail. It's called Eat Better, Live Longer. We discuss in there balanced nutrition, finding nutrient-dense foods, and how important hydration is. So watch this one next.